17th, 2025 meeting of the Greensboro City Council. We are in the Katie Dorsett Council Chamber. Let the record reflect that all members are in attendance. Councilwoman Jamila Pender is on Zoom, and Zach is grabbing a pair of glasses. We will begin tonight's meeting with a moment of silence. And this is a really difficult meeting because we lost a very special friend recently, Tiffany Rudd, and our thoughts really are with her family, her children. They are absolutely heartbroken, and we are heartbroken to see somebody so young taken from us. So if you would keep Tiffany and her family in our thoughts. Thank you. Mr. Holston, would you lead us in the pledge? Please silence any and all electronic devices. If you must make or receive a phone call, kindly do so from outside the council chamber. The City of Greensboro strongly encourages resident input at our meetings. It is the goal of the City Council that the Katie Dorsett Council Chamber is a welcoming and safe space for all community members. In order to speak at tonight's meeting, individuals must sign up to speak by 6 p.m. If you signed up to speak online, you must let the courier know that you are in attendance. Speakers may address specific consent or business agenda items with 3 minutes allocated for their remarks. For zoning matters, there is a 15-minute presentation both for and against the rezoning and a 5-minute rebuttal period. Speakers cannot relinquish their time to others, and the speaker order is determined by the presiding officer. Depending on the number of speakers, council may adjust the time allocated for each person. Any handouts must be given to the courier for distribution. All speakers are expected to adhere to the rules of decorum. Any inappropriate or disruptive behavior will result in an immediate removal from the meeting. Removal will result in a 3-month suspension from in-person participation. A second violation following the initial suspension will result in a 6-month suspension. A third violation or any instance involving altercations will lead to a 12-month suspension and may also result in criminal charges. Individuals who are suspended may still have the option to participate virtually via Zoom, ensuring that their right to free speech is preserved. Zoom participants shall not speak until they are called upon. By statute, council members must vote on all items unless there is a direct financial interest or if they serve on a board of a nonprofit receiving funding from the city on the agenda. All votes will be moved and seconded, and the presiding officer will announce the vote total. We do have a consent agenda for items G1 through G15, which are a grouping of agenda items that are voted on with one single vote to expedite what is believed to be routine and non-controversial. Any council member may withdraw an item from the consent agenda due to a conflict of interest or for the purpose of voting no. Items removed from the consent agenda for discussion will be placed on the next business meeting agenda. Tonight's meeting does include closed captioning. Depending on the length of tonight's meeting, we may take a short recess around 7:30. The applicant on item G7 has requested a continuance. G7 is a resolution calling a public hearing for July 15th, 2025 to annex the properties located at 3711 through 3717 McConnell Road, a portion of 3725 McConnell Road, and 4711, 4749 Old School Road, 109.55 acres, Esther, Nancy, and others. This item will be resubmitted at a later council meeting. We don't need to take a vote on that item. Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am, just to postpone it, that you agree to
Okay.
move it.
Can I have a motion for that postponement?
Second?
Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Jamila?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you. I am going to take privilege of the chair for a moment. Tonight is Chris Wilson's last night at a city council meeting. Chris has been a fixture in the city for 33 years, doing everything you can imagine in the city, and was recently promoted to deputy city manager. We all know Chris well. We all really like Chris, and we're going to miss him. I know many people have said their goodbyes to Chris in community meetings, and one thing that we hear a lot is that Chris is a problem solver, that if you want to see something get done, you can call Chris, and he starts from the position of yes, which is really something that we have wanted in our staff for a long time, to look to get to yes. And we are fortunate that Chris has really set the standard for that. I'm going to ask if he would meet me over there at the podium for a brief presentation. And I do see our former city manager also in attendance, Jim Westmoreland, and I know that Jim has had the opportunity to work with Chris as well. So Chris, on behalf of the City of Greensboro, I wanted to present you with this. Wherever you're comfortable. And I do want to recognize Chris's wife, Cecilia, is also in attendance.
That's the much more important person. Wow. Well, we've got a lot to do tonight, so I'm not going to say too much. I will just say I truly appreciate this. It's very kind. I can't say enough good about the time that I've had here, and I want to make it clear that I'm leaving because I know where things stand right now and how good things are. The future is very bright, and the talent sitting to my right all the way down and all behind me is so deep and so vast that I feel very good about stopping at year 33. And yes, I did start when I was a teenager. That's no joke. I truly appreciate the support that's been provided to me and the opportunity to help. That's really all I ever wanted to do was help. And you all have allowed me to do that, and I hope that the community, even if just a little bit once in a while, appreciated my desire to want to help. And I've made some really meaningful and long-lasting relationships as a result of being able to do that. And it's been a true blessing. It really has. And I think I'm just going to pause there because I know I'll get tore out of gear if I don't. But I thank you very much. Thank you for recognizing me, and thank you for the opportunity. And I will continue to love Greensboro and support you all and support this staff from afar. Greensboro's my home, and you all were gracious enough to adopt me from Randolph County many, many years ago, and I don't plan on going anywhere. So thank you very much.
I have to say, Chris has continued to work hard, and I know the next 2 weeks he's got a get stuff done list. We call it a little different. We use a different S word. But he's got a list up in his office, and if you walk in right now, you see the lines through them. He's getting all that stuff done before he leaves, so he's giving it his all between now and the last day of the month. Chris, I am personally going to miss you.
So,
We'll just start with Sharon.
so first I want to say this is not goodbye. This is just I'll see you later because I got your phone number, so you know I'll be calling. Just so in case you don't know, we have a private connection that you don't know nothing about. Okay? Just so you know, Cecilia knows as well. And so, but Chris, we met years and years and years ago when we worked on community projects, long before I ever sat in this seat. So we had a great relationship then. And I respect you highly. We don't always agree, but we know how to get to an agreement. And that's what I like. As the mayor said, you know how to say yes, long before you say no, and to find a way. And that's how we need to serve this community, is to have that can-do spirit of let's find a way to do that. And so that's something that I will forever be grateful to you for. And yes, I'm on that long list in your office. We went over it the other day, and you said, wow, checking off more than we realized. But it's been a long time coming, but you have been steadfast in ensuring that you follow through. And so I wish you much success wherever you go. I know that will happen for you, but this community will miss you in many ways, not just your physical presence, but knowing that your spirit is with us and making sure that our lives are better. And you have done that for me and my community. Thank you.
Chris, we haven't had the pleasure of having that long in the tooth kind of relationship, but for as long as I've been here, I've always appreciated, one, just the calm, welcoming, opening demeanor that you've exhibited with me. No matter what comes up, no matter what the topic has been, how tough it has been, there's always that smile right there, and that twinkle in your eye. And, you know, kind of like Columbo, sometimes I might walk out of your office, but then in a reverse Columbo, you say, but wait a minute, there may be a way. And I've always appreciated that. And I also really appreciate the fact that, you know, I thought it was special. But I see that there are so many others up here who have experienced the very same thing. Your consistency is phenomenal. Your work ethic, your creativity, your spontaneity, and, you know, every now and then having a good laugh together has always been wonderful. Congratulations. Thanks for all you've done for the city. And I don't think we've seen the last of you.
I can't tell you how many times Chris bailed me out of stuff. The first time I met Chris, somebody had planted about, 16 trees just for the hell of it in a place that was not supposed to happen like that. And so somehow Chris ended up in my what I'll say is a Rolodex that nobody uses anymore. And you've been like a brother to me ever since. So you know I can't talk in public without getting too emotional. I'll just say I love you, brother. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you've accomplished for our community. The trails, the parks, the science center, the Battleground Park District, and I could keep going. But your attitude, as the mayor said, about getting stuff done and having a positive mental attitude, you're the epitome. And so thank you, and best of luck.
Chris, we've worked together, I guess, for almost 14 years now. So, and you have a real legacy, and to walk away with, and that's that's always pretty special. And you had a lot of institutional history you knew where lots of things were buried. And sometimes that was really helpful. Like the day I came and said, well, you know, Jan Van Dyke gave us the $1 million to do the Van Dyke space, but now we don't have any money for seating. And so he said, well, let me see. And he went back and looked and found the couple $1,000, I think, couple $100,000 that we needed, 150, 175, whatever, in an old Parks and Rec bond. So, you know, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to replace the institutional knowledge and history that you have. So we'll miss that, but you should be proud of your legacy, and you know, and I'm sure you're looking forward to the next phase of your life, whatever that's going to be. So, good wishes.
I think most everyone is saying exactly what we all want to say. You've just been perfect. I've known you for decades, not just a year or two, and knew you when you were in Parks and Rec, watched you bring staff along. Now I see some of those staff in leadership positions. I mean, what you have done to mentor the team has been absolutely amazing. And, you know, I kind of want to say you've mentored us, too, because a lot of the knowledge that we have is what's come from you, Chris. So, you know, I know we're going to miss you terribly. I know that our current city manager is great, and he's going to do a great job, but you know what? You might want to make your phone number unlisted because we're going to be calling. Say, Chris, do you remember this? So just thank you for all you've done. You've helped the city move forward. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you. We go way back to the Concerned Citizens and Park and Rec and so many things that we've talked about at all levels. We've talked about a lot of things, but the spirit that you have and the want to make it happen, and that's whatever. Always, if I come in and ask for something, you try to make it happen. Now you're about to leave, but you're not leaving before you got that tank over there. The tank is painted. We talked about this years ago, but he said that's one thing I want to get done before I leave. So if you all go down Yanceyville and you see that water tower that's painted with, it says Mill District, we'll always think about Chris, because that was one of the projects that he took on years ago but didn't give up. So thanks a lot. We appreciate you and want you to enjoy your retirement, okay?
Well, the problem with sitting down here is you have a chance to get overly emotional before when everybody else is talking. Chris, what can I say? You were my very first go-to when I sat in this seat, and you've taught me so much. And one of the biggest things you taught me is to dream big. And it's okay to make big plans. It might take you a while to get there, but it's okay to set high goals that you're not sure you can reach for the city. What a difference you've made and what a legacy you're leaving. Not just physical legacy in the city with the parks and every project that you've touched, the water tower and just everything. But you've left a legacy in the people that you've touched, and the staff and in the council members. Greensboro is a better city because you were here. And I don't think there's much bigger compliment that somebody can say. But thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you've done for me. And I don't think we've seen the last of you. One way or another, you'll still be involved. And thank you for that.
Jamila, we don't want to leave you out.
No, definitely. Chris, I just want to say thank you for your service, commitment, and most importantly, your heart for the city. Even though I've not had an opportunity to be able to work alongside you long, I have known you and your great problem solving abilities for years in the community, where they would say, oh, we'll just call Chris Wilson at the city. Oh, call Chris Wilson at the city. So your reputation definitely precedes you. And so I wish you well as you go on to this next chapter, and know that the city will greatly miss the void. Will greatly miss, you will definitely be missed. And I just want to say thank you for, as I've come into this new space, you have definitely been kind and been willing to help whenever I had a question. So I wish you well.
Thank you. As you can tell, we're all going to miss Chris, and he's not going very far. He's not leaving Greensboro, so we know that we will always have a friend. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Greensboro is better because of you. So now, item E1, recognition of the City Academy graduates. Gary?
Good evening, Mayor Vaughn, City Council, City Managers, Chris Wilson fans, and distinguished guests. I'm Gary Canapino with the Community Relations Office, where I have had the privilege of overseeing the 20th edition of the Greensboro City Academy program, along with the rest of our community relations team, Isabel Gill, Shatrina Smalls, and Nicole Drummond. Beginning in April, our 2025 class visited different city facilities and participated in a variety of experiences that offered insight into how the City of Greensboro runs and the hard work done by city staffers each and every day. Mayor Vaughn and City Manager Davis, would you please join us in front of the dais? At this time, I would like to ask the City Academy participants to come forward to the wall. This year's City Academy cohort includes current Greensboro Board and Commission members, a state legislative staffer, a physician, community advocates, and potential future candidates for elected office, including Crystal Black, Keith Peterson, Maureen Ben Davies Swanson, Alan Setzer, Smita Sarkar, Elijah Southern Jr., Stacy Nickerson, Zanzella Savoy, Montia Goldsmith, and Jasmine Quick Miller. Troy's going to grab a group picture for us. Mayor Vaughn and City Manager Davis, would you remain in place? Okay, you stay here.
So we all know that we wouldn't be a success without the staff and the city department participant. So because of you all, we are able to do what we do, and we greatly appreciate it. At the end of each program, our participants are given the opportunity to select their favorite learning experience. Each session includes interactive presentations where the staff have to think creatively on how to deliver an engaging, interactive learning experience. Those sessions kept the participants focused, and each one contained valuable information. A vote for the entire class cohort decided the winner for their favorite learning experience this year is the Libraries and the History Museum Department. I believe Amber Covington will be here to accept the award for the Libraries and Museums. Don't forget your photo now. All right. The class also voted on their favorite individual presenter for the year. The award goes to Jennifer Hance from Parks and Rec. I do not see Jennifer, so I'm going to ask Phil Fleischman to come and accept the award on her behalf. I would like to say thank you and congratulations again to the winners of the awards this year. At this time, I would like to introduce Jasmine Quick Miller. She will be addressing the City Council for our speaker for our City Academy class of 2025.
I ask that you bear with me. The heat and my asthma are not getting along. But I want to say good evening to everyone. It has been an honor to stand here today as a graduate of Greensboro City Academy, and an experience that has truly opened doors for all of us. This year's class was unique, only 10 of us making the most intimate cohort yet. That small number created an environment where everyone, where every voice was heard, every question was answered, and every participant was fully engaged. We built connections, formed friendships, and developed camaraderie that made these 10 weeks even more meaningful. Our class was diverse, spanning different backgrounds, professions, and perspectives. Yet, through each session, we discovered common ground, a shared commitment to learning, leading, and contributing to our city. We learned from different departments across Greensboro, gained insights we never knew existed, and are now better equipped to take this knowledge back to our communities and city boards. City Academy has given us more than just information. It has given us opportunities to engage, grow, and serve in ways we hadn't imagined. This has challenged us to be stronger leaders, more effective board members, and more informed advocates. A heartfelt thank you to Gary and his team for their patience, their professionalism, and let's just be honest, class, for putting up with us, okay? And to the City Council, I just want to say thank you to the members who nominated us and to the ones who voluntold us. Thank you for seeing our potential and encouraging us on our journey. Today we graduate not just with knowledge, but with purpose. Let's take what we've learned and make Greensboro even better. One informed and engaged, one informed and engaged resident at a time. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, City Council, and my colleagues across all the departments, thank you for your support, and we will see you next year at about this time.
No, there wasn't one this time.
Madam Mayor, if I can just say congratulations to everybody, but I want people to know that the one who said she got voluntold, yes, she did, but she's on a path following her father. Her father is Representative Amos Quick, and so she is on a path to serve the way he serves. So I think City Academy, and it's good for all of the applicants who are there, but I certainly thank them for their service, and I'm excited to see what Jasmine's going to do as well. So thank you, Jasmine, and others as well. I just want to know.
I just wanted to say I'm very proud that you all have taken this, and I know you've learned a lot about each department. I'll be brief. I spoke to you briefly downstairs, but I'm just so excited because you have learned about some of the inner workings of the city, and that is going to take you far. You're going to know a lot, and I do hope you'll spread the word about the City Academy so others will be able to have the same experience. So thank you all, and congratulations.
Okay, now we'll move on to our consent agenda. Does anybody on council need to remove anything?
Second.
So I'm sorry, that was moved by Hugh, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Nothing to be removed. Council, please vote. Madam Clerk, Jamila is going to vote through her iPad. Just let me know if there's any issues. Yes. And that passes 9-0. We now move on to the public hearing portion of our agenda. I will read in H1 and H2 together. Item H1 is a public hearing for an ordinance annexing territory into the corporate limits for the property located 1805 Coode Road, 1.045 acres, City of Greensboro. And item H2, a public hearing for an ordinance for original zoning and rezoning 1199 Pleasant Ridge Road and 1801 and 1805 Coode Road, City of Greensboro.
Thank you, Mayor Vaughn. This is the zoning map of the subject properties. You'll note that the northern property that is crosshatched is currently in the county and zoned county agricultural, and there are two properties that are subject properties that are on the southern side of this collection of properties that are in the city and zoned conditional district commercial medium. The subject properties contain a total of 3.139 acres and are located north of Pleasant Ridge Road and west of Coode Road.
Excuse me.
This is an annexation, original zoning, and rezoning request from county agricultural and city conditional district commercial medium to city office. North of the request is zoned county agricultural. East and west of the request are zoned county agricultural, city R3, and city R3. South of the request is zoned city R3 and city CD RM26. This is the aerial map of the subject property showing that it currently contains single-family dwellings. North and east of the request contain single-family dwellings. South of the request contains single-family dwellings, multifamily dwellings, and west of the request contains single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. The future land use map shows that the property is located in the Western Area Plan and designated as residential. The future built form map shows that the property is designated as urban general. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this request, of the annexation and the original zoning and rezoning request at their May 19th, 2025 hearing with a unanimous vote, and there were no speakers for this request. In recommending approval, staff notes that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates this site as urban general on the future built form map, and the property is designated as residential on the future land use map of the Western Area Plan. The proposed original zoning requests and rezoning requests support both the comprehensive plans, filling in our framework strategy to invest in building and maintaining quality, accessible public recreation centers, libraries, neighborhood park facilities, and other services to sustain livable neighborhoods. The proposed office zoning district permits uses that are compatible with the existing uses in the surrounding area. The request reflects changes in land use patterns and additional public infrastructure in this area since the adoption of the Western Area Plan. With that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Mr. Carter? Do I have a motion moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Dr. Wells? Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. I need a motion on H2, and it requires a statement of consistency. Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem.
The Greensboro City Council believes that its action to approve the original zoning and rezoning requests for the properties at 1199 Pleasant Ridge Road, 1801 and 1805 Coode Road from County AG and City CDCM to City O to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed City O zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. And the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Item H3 is a resolution to close all of Stedman Street and portions of Salem Street and Arley Street. Jim Westmoreland on behalf of NC-A&T State University.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a street closure request, and this map shows the portions of Salem Street and Arley Street that are proposed to be closed, and Stedman and all of Stedman Street that is proposed to be closed. This is the aerial map showing the surrounding property. And it's important to note that NC-A&T or North Carolina owns all of the properties that are adjacent to this street closure request, making 100% of the owners that own road frontage along the street. So it is a valid petition. The city must make two determinations in order to close a street. First is that the closing of the street to vehicular traffic is not contrary to the public interest, and second, that no property owner in the vicinity is deprived of reasonable means of ingress and egress. At their May 9th, 2025 meeting, the Technical Review Committee recommended closing the above specified streets with the following conditions. 1, the street closure is not final until a plat is recorded showing the area within the right-of-way being combined with the adjacent properties. And 2, the city shall retain 20-foot utility easements centered over existing utility lines until such time as the lines are no longer needed for public use. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the street closures with the stated conditions at their May 19th, 2025 meeting. And with that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Mr. Carter or for Mr. Westmoreland, who's here, if we have questions? Okay, moved by Mrs. Hoffman. Second. Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. That does not require a statement of consistency. Council, please vote. I think you're going to pass 9-0. Mr. Westmoreland, would you like to?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Jim Westmoreland, good to be with you this evening, officially representing North Carolina A&T State University as their Director of Parking and Transportation Services. I would be remiss, and the reason why I'm up here tonight is to take a moment to recognize Chris Wilson in addition to our item that you just approved. Thank you very much. I will tell you, I have known Mr. Wilson a good while now. He was a member of my administration back when I served the city back through 2018. Like you all, I think the world of Chris Wilson. I don't know that I've ever met somebody who is a more humble, dedicated servant and leader for this organization, and certainly will miss dealing with him on the city capacity, but know that now that he's got some additional free time, we'll have some other opportunities to share things together. But again, thank you on behalf of the university, Chancellor James Martin. We certainly appreciate the recognition. This will go a long way to help further some of our master plan efforts that we have for the campus and university. And I did want to recognize a couple of colleagues who are with me tonight because they're important people in the university and they make this all happen. So Bill Barlow is here. He's our Assistant Vice Chancellor for Facilities with the university. And then Matt Gunderson is a fairly new member of our team with Director of Design and Construction. But again, thank you very much for your time and consideration. And again, Chris, congratulations to you. Thank you for all that you've done for me and for our team, and to the other members of the team that are here. Good luck to you, and thank you.
Thank you. Jim, it's nice to see you back in the chambers. Hope you're doing well.
You coming back to work?
My hearing's got a little bad since I left. What'd you say?
Hey, you come back? Yeah, Chris is, come on.
No, thank you. No, it was certainly a privilege to work with the city, and I appreciate, again, the time that I've served here, and good to see each one of you, and thank you for what you do for the community, so thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
We now move on to items H4 through H9. I will read them into the record together, and we will vote on them separately. Item H4 is a resolution authorizing submission of the 2025 Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing Choice Report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And H5, a resolution authorizing submission of the 2025-2029 Consolidated Plan and Annual Action Plan application. And item H6, a resolution authorizing the submission of the Annual Action Plan application for $1,483,573.18. And item H7, a resolution authorizing submission of the Annual Action Plan application for $2,639,554, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Program Funds and Conduct of CDBG program activities for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. And item H8, a resolution authorizing the submission of the Annual Action Plan application for $207,632 Emergency Solution Grant and the conduct of the Emergency Solutions Grant activities for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. And item H9, a resolution authorizing the submission of the Annual Action Plan application for $1,275,774, housing opportunities for persons with AIDS funds, and the conduct of the HOPWA activities for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Were you going to do a brief overview, or are you here for questions?
I can do an overview if you'd like, or we can do questions. This is a public hearing item for H4 and H5, which are the two plans. H6 through 9 are the individual entitlement awards that the city receives from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you.
I think H4 and H5 should be a synopsis, because the impediments to housing is critical, and that people need to understand what they are and the plans that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do have a shortened version from what was presented to council earlier, so I can run through that very quickly. So these plans, the consolidated plan is a 5-year strategy plan that outlines what the city will do with HUD funds over that 5-year period. It includes the first year 1 annual plan, which is our annual action plan for this year. And the second plan is the analysis of impediments, which lays out those barriers that were discovered through data research and community discussions to housing choice. And we have been working with the consultants Civics and HRNA Advisor on these plans, as well as the Housing GSO update plan. So shout out to them for the help there. We had a high degree of community engagement in these plans. There were over 433 community responses to the survey, which was very good. And Civics conducted over 20 group and individual stakeholder interviews to receive feedback on Greensboro's housing market and conditions. So some quick trends to note. Population has grown 4.3%. We've seen high growth among seniors in the 65 and up population and the young adults, those young working adults, 18 to 34. Home values have risen 36% since 2020, rising from a median of about 163 to about 221. In that time period, we've seen homeownership decline for low and moderate income households, but increase for households who are making over $100,000. And the housing stock is aging. 40% of our homes are built before 1980, so we're seeing a higher need for investments in home repairs and home maintenance. In terms of affordability, we had median rents increase by 49% from 2018 to 2023, which well outpaced incomes, which increased by 26%. Almost half of our renters are paying more than 30% of their income for housing, so they are considered to be cost burdened in the language of HUD. And critically, when we did the Housing GSO plan, we had identified a lack of 4,000 affordable rental units in 2020. The analysis now for households earning less than $30,000 is 10,400, so we have seen an escalation in that gap of affordability. And only about 1,000 rental units are affordable to extremely low-income renters. This does not include those folks who may be in public housing or who may be on vouchers. These are units on the market affordable to folks at that 30% and below area median income. So quick recap on that. Shifting market conditions have grown the rental housing shortage faster than we had predicted back when we did the Housing GSO plan. We're seeing a growing need for those smaller and more affordable units to address those seniors and small families. And rental households earning less than 80% of area median income, these are our low-mod households, are about 60% of the rental population, but those affordable units for those households are only about 20% of the stock. So there's a mismatch there as well. And the rising population of seniors over 65 points to a need for supportive housing and those smaller units for the aging population. We'll talk a little bit about the barriers that Councilwoman Hightower was speaking to. The first two were identified earlier, the mismatch between the housing stock and the residents' needs and the affordability challenges that we're experiencing. And then the third is that that legacy of development patterns that we've had in Greensboro that continue to affect us today and continue to guide us to making corrections to help reduce that concentrated disinvestment and overcome those barriers that were created through historic redlining. And then there is the home lending gaps, which were identified. In the report, it breaks out the analysis of who is able to get home loans and who may not be able to get home loans. And what we found was that about 25% of African American applicants were being denied versus about 19% of white applicants. I did pull some information on our homebuyer program to share with you tonight because I think it is a bright spot. I think we're doing the right thing. We need to do more of it. In the last 5 years, 72% of our homebuyers have been Black or African American. 84% of them overall have been non-white. And in the last program year, again, 78% African American and 94% of them non-white. So in terms of hitting the target, I think we're hitting the target. We need to broaden and bring more people in and provide additional homeownership education and encourage people to do what they need to do to make themselves in a place where they can be approved for their applications. We also can work closer with our local lending partners and help to create some of those channels for people to be able to get into home ownership and the support that they may need. The fifth bullet in our barriers was evictions and instability. We've heard this from the community and are working to address it through the TEAMS project with Legal Aid of North Carolina, sitting in the eviction courts with people who are coming in for evictions and referring them to the city for eligibility for the emergency rental assistance program to help clear those arrearages and keep people in housing. And the last bullet is reported discrimination in housing access, which comes from a variety of sources. It can be racial discrimination, it can be gender discrimination, it can be income discrimination, and those are all advocacy and education opportunities for us to address. So what we heard from the community was that there was a need for more affordable housing across the city, an interest in stronger protections for those renters, and a desire for neighborhood investments and better quality housing. So going into our one-year plan for this year and where the federal funding dollars will go, we have about $5.4 million in federal funding sources that we anticipate receiving, and some program income that comes in off of repaid loans from prior years, about $150,000 in CDBG and about $100,000 in home. In the Community Development Block Grant Program, we're looking at investing in housing rehabilitation and repair and the Lead Safe Housing Program. Those are those neighborhood reinvestments into improving the housing stock in neighborhoods. We are doing homeless services in public services, emergency shelter facilities, and we are working with the Parks and Rec Department and the Planning Department on neighborhood investments in Willow Oaks and parks in both the Glenwood Neighborhood Reinvestment Area and the Mill District Reinvestment Area. In the home program, we are investing $837,000 in multifamily development. The required 15% set aside of CHODO development would go towards single-family activities. Homebuyer down payment assistance of $300,000. This is targeted to those households below 80% of area median income. We do have ARP dollars and some bond dollars that are targeting those households that we call the workforce housing, that would be above that 80% of area median income. And then our emergency solutions grant is targeted towards rapid rehousing for households who are experiencing homelessness, and housing opportunities for persons with AIDS. This is a 3-county program that provides housing stability and housing vouchers to those households who may be experiencing the effects of HIV and AIDS. So with that, our next step from here is a submission to HUD on or before July 13th, and then we would be coming back to council in August with the actual appropriations for the HUD funding. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Can you get back to the community development block grants, please?
Mm-hmm. This one?
Yeah, the program administration, $527,910. What is that? Is that just staff costs?
That is staff salaries and costs, yes. CDBG has a statutory cap of 20% on program administration.
Okay.
Any follow-up?
They have to come back and allocate, right? Or is administration just administration?
Pardon?
Is administration, is that just, that number's going to stick? My goal would be that the community, the CDG, the funds develop the community, not administrative cost. That's my only thing, and it's, I mean, I remember the NUSPUN fund last year was exorbitantly invested in admin costs, design costs, and did not meet what the intent of the NUSPUN funds was to the maximum of its ability. So that just catches my attention.
It is a balancing act between the administration on the federal side, the NUSPOM side. We do not receive general fund dollars, or at least not very many general fund dollars in our department, so it's NUSPOM and the federal funds for administration.
Okay, so Cindy, with the administration, how many employees are you saying that the salaries are paying for to administer this program? Because it's, I think I hear your point, Zach, because sometimes we get caught up in putting our money toward just administration, but in some of these programs, we do need that to be done so we can get the money out quicker than.
Yeah, these dollars primarily support the staff that we have in neighborhood reinvestment and the rehabilitation programs. And we could get you a staff breakdown of exactly who is in which categories.
Just to give a little bit of context, so that the figure you see is for all of the programs and not just for CDBG grants. So just some context from a budget perspective, it's for all of the programs that are that the staff provide support for.
And does this include salaries and fringe?
Yes.
So you're probably, what's this,
And-
9 people?
And M&O. It also includes some of the operating costs for the department are also included in administration.
Yeah, so it's not like 100 employees. You're probably
No,
talking about 8 to 10 employees.
Not even that many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we have a motion on H4?
I'll move the item. Yeah, I'll move the item. But I did want to make sure that once we get the approval back from HUD, that this plan is gone out to the community so they really understand it. Because I think there's some elements in it that we still need to deal with. And particularly disinvestment in certain areas, because that was a highlight for me. And we need to change some of that and make sure we're intentionally investing in those underserved communities as well. So, but I'll move the item.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by Mr. Holston. Council, please vote.
This is a public hearing item, so I don't know if anyone has.
We have it when nobody speaks.
Is it, okay.
Yeah. Now let me vote. And Madam Mayor, I do want to speak to something, but it may not be the appropriate time because it's a budget item. So I don't know how Mr. City Manager feels about me speaking about it right now. You want to wait till the budget items?
For the
get
record,
there.
that passed 9-0.
So, but one of the things that Ms. Blue spoke about was the home ownership and the decline of the difference between black and brown communities and the white community. One of the things is the down payment assistance. And so with this coming budget, we are putting $500,000 toward increasing that down payment from $10,000 to $15,000, and that statistically is going to make a difference. And we've done the numbers, and so we'll know how it's going to impact potential homeowners to be able to have that additional $5,000 added to that 10, which will allow them to buy higher price homes, but also perhaps to buy down rates to be able to be effective with their closing costs as well. And so I think that's something that's critically important. By increasing that down payment assistance, then we're increasing that opportunity to have homeowners that we know traditionally may not have been able to afford to purchase a home in the community because housing prices are rising and we're building them, and the prices that we're building them at now are at a nice price, right? But that $5,000 is going to make a significant difference.
I need a motion for H5.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Council, please vote. That passes 9-0. I need H6.
Thank you. Second.
Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Councilwoman Hightower. That passes 9-0. I need a motion for H7. Moved by Mr. Holston, seconded by Dr. Wells. That passes 9-0. I need a motion for H8. Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Dr. Wells. And that passes 9-0. I need a motion for, we just did H8, didn't we? Correct. For H9.
Move the item. Second.
By Dr. Wells, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. And that passes 9-0. We now move on to the general business portion of our agenda. Item I1 is a resolution to authorize a city loan subordination to the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency loan to Oakwood Park project.
Madam Mayor, I can answer any questions on this project, or the developer is here as well and can answer questions.
Zach?
I want to take a minute to thank staff for putting the work in and sending us the information. I guess it was probably last week, late last week. I still maintain some consternation on this, being in a third position. I understand that it's through construction, which hopefully will not be drawn out. And then we can get these funds back and put them to use in another affordable housing. And based on what we just talked about, based on what we talk about consistently about every meeting, is how do we get more homes, right, Mr. Manager? More places for people to live, more diverse options for people to live. And so I just, I know I made some comments of concern last time, and based on the city staff's information and the need for the community, I'm fine with it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
And I want to agree with Mr. Matheny. With the extensive explanations we've gotten over the last week or so, and of course with the small group meetings, I think that really helps a lot for us to be able to say, yes, this is temporary, and it will be going back to second lien. So I do think that this is something I know I can support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone, any other comments?
Yeah, I do want to say thank you for getting me the information. Still was a little late in coming. I just think we need to emphasize getting this information because it's a lot, and getting it kind of at a last minute, I don't think is responsible on either our part, because I want to make a good decision on it, but I do appreciate the information. However, you got me the MWBE stuff today on a piece of paper, which is, again, I'm going to ask you that memos, not you, but memos come through more detailed. This is very detailed, and I appreciate it, but I don't like having to sit up here and take my attention away from people who are speaking and information that's being provided to read a last-minute memo. And so I would appreciate getting information a little bit more timely, if you will. But so if that can be that can happen. I'm going to support the item, but I am concerned that the company did not realize that one of the MWBEs, particularly the WBE, was not a certified WBE. Because how did they get that person's name? Because we should be providing list to them, and the list we provide to them are supposed to be certified, not non-certified. So I would like to wonder how that happened, because it's great to see the numbers, 25 and would have been 17 which means it would have met the goal. And that is the purpose of the program, is to meet the goal and improve people's economics so they can buy a house that we just got through talking about as well. So,
And just to Mrs. Hightower's point, the agendas usually get posted on Thursday, and it's really good if we can have complete information on Thursday. I know that things are added sometimes over the weekend, but if we could get those memos by the Thursday posting, it's very helpful. Do we have a motion? Moved by Mrs. Hoffman, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. Council, please vote. Mr. Duffield, I assume that you were here for questions.
Councilmember Pinder?
And that passes 9-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item I2 is a resolution approving rules and regulations for the operation of the water and wastewater system effective June 17th, 2025. Moved by Mrs. Hoffman, seconded by Dr. Wells. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Item I3 is an ordinance in the amount of $1,508,500 establishing the budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 Greensboro Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization activities.
Move the item. Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. Council, please vote. That passes 9-0. Item I4 is a resolution spending authorization of opioid settlements for the City of Greensboro Opioid Settlement Funding Plan fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 39.
Move the item. Second.
Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Item I5 is a resolution to approve contract for Fire Station 8 renovation for $5,188,237 with Samet Corporation. We do have two speakers on this item, Mr. George Hartzman and Mr. Jason Hicks, who is on Zoom. Mr. Hartzman?
My name is George Hartzman. Knowingly participating in a matter where a conflict exists can lead to criminal charges resulting in felony convictions.
Mr. Hartzman, are you speaking on the agenda item?
I am. Ethics violations by voting members are always relevant to council proceedings. Are you being the mayor?
Just want to make, she had to leave for a moment. She'll be right back, but yes.
Okay. State Ethics Commission can impose civil penalties, including fines or removal from office. If you know Zach Matheny or anyone else who has a conflict of interest on this item, it needs to be disclosed immediately. You're supposed to contact Greensboro City's attorney, but that's problematic since Mr. Watts accepted gifts from at least one nonprofit government contractor. Under Robert's Rules of Order, if a council member refuses to recuse themselves when there's a conflict, any member can raise a point of order
Mr. Hartzman, we're speaking about the fire
Ethics
station
violations
renovation.
by voting members are always relevant to
Mr.
council
City Attorney?
proceedings. Stop the clock, please.
I defer to the judgment of the Mayor Pro Tem if you want to ask him to speak directly on the item or just have him speak for his 3 minutes. It's entirely
Speakers are
within
to
your
speak
judgment.
directly to the item at hand. If you want to
I
speak,
am.
how it is not a nonprofit.
I'm addressing documented ethics violations by voting members. It is relevant to the item. May I proceed, please?
How is it relevant to the item? I'd like to ask.
Because a member of the council is participating in the, please stop the clock.
In the fire station?
Yeah.
How?
Arthur Samet of Samet Construction sits on DGI's board. May I continue, please?
You may continue,
Thank
but
you.
I will give you the rest of your time, but we'll just let it go.
Please stop interrupting me. I'm running out of time. Each member should have submitted updated written disclosures to the city clerk, creating a formal record. Anyone who received gifts from DGI or any other taxpayer-funded nonprofit government contractors should file a self-report with the North Carolina State Ethics Commission. Public acknowledgments and
Mr.
are
Hartzman,
appropriate,
really,
along with
you
corrective
signed up to
steps.
speak on the business
If you
agenda item.
haven't updated your disclosures, you are at risk. Silence equals complicity. If the council knowingly allows the vote, you will have aided the violation, raising collective civil and legal liability and personal felony exposure. So if you vote on this, and Zach is involved in the vote, you are aiding and abetting a known conflict because Arthur Samet serves on the board of Downtown Greensboro Incorporated, and which means Arthur votes for Zach's pay.
If it helps the council at all, there's nothing said that creates a conflict under North Carolina law for Councilmember Matheny to vote on this action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's simply no conflict that exists under North Carolina law.
Thank you. Well, we still have Mr. Hicks, and then I know Sharon. Is Mr. Hicks on the line?
Yes, I'm here. My name is Jason Hicks. Samet Corporation is led by Arthur Samet, whose company was involved with the Bellamy parking deck demolition, who currently serves on taxpayer-funded Downtown Greensboro Incorporated's board of directors. Zach Matheny, DGI's CEO, also sits on council. Arthur Samet contributed money to Zach Matheny's last political campaign. Matheny paid for Undercurrent restaurant meeting with Samet and Roy Carroll, another one of Zach's political contributors, in December 2023 with taxpayer money funneled through DGI. In a June 2024 letter to the City of Greensboro, Samet Corporation advised against temporary repairs for the Bellamy parking deck. The firm suggested replacement, not repair, may be the only long-term solution. The City Council then voted for a 3-year, $4.2 million DGI nonprofit contract in the same month, while Nancy Vaughn and Tammy Thurm served on the board of DGI-affiliated Downtown Parks with Zach Matheny and continue to do so to date. Arthur Samet was appointed to DGI's board sometime afterwards. DGI's January 2025 report admits using taxpayer funds to lobby the city, including pushing for the Bellamy parking deck demolition, none of which is reported on DGI's tax return. Zach, Vaughn, Tammy Thurm, Nancy Hoffman then voted to spend $2.35 million of our tax dollars to demolish the Bellamy deck, enabled by Samet for Roy Carroll. Then the city sold that prom land for $1.85 million, $570,000 below its value to Roy Carroll, who made $2.92 million on the deal, while one of his employees sat on DGI's board and another, Christy Myatt, sat on DGI affiliate Downtown Greensboro's foundation. Matheny has yet to recuse himself from any votes involving Samet or Carroll. At least the city attorney, Nancy Vaughn and Nancy Hoffman, received illegal gifts from Matheny, paid for by a
30
taxpayer-funded nonprofit government contractor. The question is, who else at the city also received anything of value from Zach Matheny since he became CEO of DGI, a Greensboro taxpayer-funded government contractor? And I would close by saying that, reminding you all that the county canceled the contract with Samet based on Samet's values do not align with the county's. How could they possibly align with the city's? Thank you.
Downtown Parks is not an affiliate of DGI. Mrs. Hightower?
Okay, I had some questions pertaining to the actual item and the actual contract of the item. And first, I was trying to get some clarity around, I guess this item is specifically for Fire Station 8, even though it references that we approved Fire Stations 8, 10, and others in a February meeting, but I'm rereading it again for the fifth time. And so my concern, too, is the way the MWBE memo is written. And Mr. Watt, I'm going to ask you to please get this right. If you have a goal of 13% and a goal of 15%, then can you make sure that not only is it listed, but you indicate whether the goal was met or the goal was not met, and then I get a paragraph that says the goal is 25%. So 13 and 15 is 28. So it appears it did meet the goal, but did it not meet the goal on the M side or the W side? And so there's not a deaggregation there either. Yes, they're listed here, and Mr. Holston and I have been sitting here trying to count. And again, can I get this information? It's just not that hard to provide it so that it's there for whomever wants to read it, particularly me. It's very important to me that these numbers are accurate. There are some things in this memo that are concerning to me as well, and that Samet has made a statement in this MWBE memo that says since it's limited to 27 counties, that limits their ability. But the 27 counties is because a firm did a disparity study that we paid for that determined that our dollars were going to those 27 counties. And if there needs to be something we do different, then that needs to be a conversation that we have as well. So I'm a little concerned by the way the memo is written. I also had a question about, since this is just for Fire Station 8, this is the goal set for Fire Station 8 and not 10 or others as is referenced in the memo. I'm trying to understand so I have clear. So this change order will encompass the construction. Right now, the phase 1 change is for the pre-construction. So will we see another item specifically on 10? Can I understand that? So I can make the decision that it's not 3 fire stations, it's only for 1.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Hightower, we will work to make sure that we get the memos in the format that you want them. In fact, in this case, Samet's goals were 13 for MBE, 15 for WBE, and they hit, and we did not include that on the memo, which should have. They did hit 13.28 for the MBE and 15.28 for the WBE, for a total of 28.56%. And what we had stated was that it was over 25% MBA participation.
Right.
We'll
yes.
make sure that we write that up.
But saying over 25% is still not inaccurate. Yes, over 25, because anything at 26, it could be 26, it could be 27. But I think for clarity purposes,
yes, ma'am,
that it does need to be broken out that way. And we shouldn't have to sit here and try to count it ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
And do math in public. We shouldn't do that. I think I see what you're talking about. In the documentation we have, it shows that the number reached was 25% as an aggregate, and the goals was 13 for M and 15 for W. But when I do the math, I get 13.27 for the M's versus a 13, which is a hit, and then you have 15.28 versus a 15, which is a hit. So they both hit. I think you just said that.
Yes.
But
Yeah, he did.
it would be very helpful if they were broken down, and yeah, that'd be very helpful.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Hightower, I want to give you a little bit of clarity. I think you asked some earlier too about multiple stations. Because of the way the previous funding was approved by council, we will be bringing you Station 10 soon as well.
And so Station 10, is that going to be considered a change order?
No,
because the way they broke it down here was phase one, which was, this is a design build project, and so the first part of phase one just does the startup costs, and then you're going to have a phase. The change order one is for phase two for the remaining. So if you add all three in there together, the 8 to 10, and and it says other, and I don't know what others are. Is it one GMP price, or it's going to be a separate price and a separate contract, not a change order contract?
Each of the different stations should be a separate, but we'll get you all that information.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Second. Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Council, please vote. That passes 9-0. Item I-6 is a resolution to approve contract 12674 in the amount of $6 million with EcoFlow, Inc. to provide household hazardous waste disposal services. Moved by Mrs. Hoffman. Seconded by Dr. Wells.
So, Madam Mayor, I have a concern and a question.
Okay.
Well, actually, I have my question answered. I do see that they are subbing this part of it to a labor company, and part of my questions for the labor company is always going to be how much do the workers make, and is the workforce diverse? Because I think that's important, as well as we know labor companies tend to charge one fee for their service, but then they pay another fee for the worker. And I just want to ensure that the worker, and I did get that information, so thank you, Chris. Once again, you're on the job. Appreciate that, getting that information. But those are two of the critical components. But the other piece of it is there is a presumption and a documentation that we don't have qualified individuals to be on contracts like this, but in the program plan there is opportunity. It's called a mentor protege, and so I think we need to start really looking hard at these plans and these opportunities. And we always consistently rely on the people who are on call. And then we never open up a door for other on-call companies if they're there as well. So I'm continuing to push for more opportunity in the body of these contracts. I understand we got to have the service, but today I did find out there is someone who also has some skill set that could be learning and mentor protege along with these companies, and I'd like to see us do that more.
I've been informed that Dr. Dorstamp is going to follow up on your suggestion.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that was moved by Mrs. Hoffman and seconded by Dr. Wells. And that passes 9-0. Item I-7 is a resolution to approve a contract in the amount estimated at $10 million over 5 years with FCR Greensboro LLC, DBA Republic Services.
Madam Mayor, can I ask the city attorney a question?
Okay, let me go. Okay.
Mr. City Attorney, I recycle at home. Do I have a conflict on this?
I think you're fine.
clarify.
I think you're fine.
I'm okay?
Yes, sir, you're okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Salty.
Are you?
Council, please vote.
I have a, you know, you can go ahead on and vote for it, but I have the same concern with this one that I did with the previous one. And this is a contract that's going to be for 7 years. I understand why, but I would like for us to really look at some of our contracts go for years, 5 to 7 years. And so that means you shut down any opportunity. And I understand it was done for cost effectiveness, and I get that. We want to save money, I agree, but we don't want to eliminate opportunities here to work with companies like this as well. So I just reiterate what I said earlier.
I do. Dr. Wells, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. I'm going to read items I-8 through I-17 together. These are all budget items. Item I-8 is an ordinance establishing the fiscal year 2026 annual operating budget, and item I-9 is a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2026 through 2035 Capital Improvement Program Plan, CIP, and item I-10, an ordinance amending the General Capital Projects Fund, and item I-11, an ordinance amending the Streets and Sidewalk Capital Projects Fund, and item I-12, an ordinance amending the State Highway Capital Projects Fund, and item I-13, an ordinance amending the Technical Services Projects Fund, and item I-14, an ordinance amending the Water Resources Capital Improvement Fund, and item I-15, an ordinance amending the Water Resources Capital Reserve and Capital Improvement Funds, and item I-16, an ordinance amending the Water and Sewer Extension Reserve Fund, and I-17, an ordinance amending the Stormwater Management Capital Improvements Fund. We do have one speaker on these items, Mr. Hartzman.
George Hartzman. Before this council votes on the budget, I'm formally requesting that any council member who stands to receive any benefits or monies from any fund, department, program, or entity that will receive funding through this budget immediately recuse themselves from voting. This includes members who have received gifts, meals, or entertainment from taxpayer-funded contractors. Ms. Hightower. There is no statute of limitations, so for anything of value received from Mr. Matheny since he became CEO of DGI, if you have received anything of value, you should recuse yourself. Have you received anything of value from Mr. Matheny? Say again? I'm sorry? Cool. Anyone with business relationships with entities receiving city funding or council members who serve on boards or of organizations receiving budget allocations. The recent revelations about undisclosed gifts from taxpayer-funded contractors demonstrate a pattern of conflict of interest that cannot be ignored. At least Mayor Vaughn and Nancy Hoffman received documented gifts from a nonprofit government contractor which receives taxpayer monies in this budget via multiple different funds. Multiple different funds. DGI admits lobbying city staff, boards, commissions, and city council on issues that impact bid area stakeholders, including the depot, public safety, road construction, the Bellmead parking deck demolition, persons experiencing homelessness, parking transportation, GPD, BHART economic development, permitting, water and sewer, planning, city ordinances, and codes and items related to DGI's 23 strategic vision plan. In other words, DGI has admitted it's their job to lobby city council and city officials on all those items. And then Zach's going to vote for the budget that funds all the items that he has lobbied the city of Greensboro about. I implore you to understand this. Mr. Matheny should recuse himself from all these matters or resign from either DGI, City Council, or both. Recuse yourselves now or face the legal consequences of your violations. Please do the right thing.
Madam Mayor, can I ask a question?
To Mr. Hartzman?
No.
Oh, don't forget you have Mr. Hicks still.
Oh, I'll
You want to wait? Mr. Hicks? Oh, no, he was not signed up on these. He was signed up on a different item. Go ahead.
Mr. Baker.
Yes, sir.
I'll be glad to speak.
No,
Did you call me, Madam Mayor?
Any conflicts in this regard?
I'm not aware of any conflict under North Carolina law, and I would like to speak specifically to a couple things that Mr. Hartzman addressed, if I may. Mr. Hartzman continuously references gifts. You, pursuant to Chapter 160A, have adopted an ethics policy as required by North Carolina law. That ethics policy allows exceptions for gifts, specifically food and beverage, and anything of value under $50. We have looked at all the receipts that Mr. Hartzman and Mr. Hicks have made reference to. None of them show a gift of more than $50. Under your rules of ethics, which is adopted pursuant to North Carolina law, those are not gifts, period. Does not create a conflict of interest. There is absolutely nothing illegal about you as city council members lobbying the state legislature. There's a specific exception under North Carolina law for local elected officials. You're expected to lobby the legislature, whether you do so as a council member, and if you happen to be the president of DGI or the president of a nonprofit that supports homelessness, you do so as a council member, and there is a specific exception. Any of you in those positions representing your nonprofit that addresses council not to benefit the nonprofit but to benefit programs is not lobbying the council. There is simply no conflict that exists. under chapter or statute 14-234 or 14-240.4.3. Everything that Mr. Hartzman references, none of that creates a conflict under either of those statutes for the budget. First of all, DGI is not mentioned in the budget as an allocation to DGI. The budget references programming for the bid. The fact that DGI is the current vendor does not create a contractual relationship with DGI. The School of Government supports this in saying that budget references do not create contractual relationships. So Mr. Matheny or Mr. Holson, representing nonprofits that receive funds from the city through the budget process through contracts that are awarded at separate times, they do not have a conflict of interest to vote on the appropriations of those monies for certain programs. When those votes come up for those monies to be allocated to those nonprofits by contract, 14-234.3 would then say that they should recuse themselves from that vote because they, at that time, they are associated with that nonprofit. I think the same issue is going to come up when you have a vote tonight with the Greensboro Downtown Parks, Inc., which is a nonprofit. I know several of you are associated with that nonprofit, and there will be a recusal for that vote because of that. So I want to reiterate, not only for the council, as Mr. Hartzman has tried to advise you, as the city attorney's office, we're going to advise you. There is simply no conflict. I don't think that's going to end the subject, but I want you to hear it, and I want the public to hear it. We have analyzed it. We have discussed it far more than we need to. And for the maybe 10 people that are concerned about this issue throughout the city, I will assure them there is no conflict.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any questions the council may
Mr.
have.
Baker, thank you for that. So nobody on council is aiding and abetting if they vote on this? The last thing I would say is I would like to thank Mr. Hartzman for displaying the last 20 years of my work ethic and my community service. I'm very proud of the community service that I have done, and I thank him for recognizing the hard work I've put into making this place better. Some people should try it as well.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on I-8, which is the annual operating budget?
So moved.
So that was moved by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. Council, please vote.
Just for me.
That passes 9-0. I need a motion for I-9, which is the CIP.
Second.
That's moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Council, please vote. That passes 9-0. I need a motion for I-10.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Hightower?
That passes 9-0. I need a motion for I-11.
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mr. Holston.
Madam Mayor, that's not the one where we're increasing the sewer fees, or?
No, that's sidewalks.
Yes, okay. And the water. Okay.
Mr. Manager, on the sidewalks, can we get a map of what is laid out over the next 12 months, please? Thank you.
That passes 9-0. I need a motion for I-12.
Move the item.
Moved by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. That passes 9-0. I need a motion on I-13.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem.
I-13.
We are on I-13, which is the Technical Services Project Fund.
Oh, I jumped. Oh, I'm reading so far ahead. Thank you.
That passes 9-0. I need a motion on I-14, which is the Water Resources Capital Improvement Fund. Moved by Mrs. Hoffman, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. That passes 9-0. I-15 is Water and Sewer Resource Capital Reserve and Capital Improvement Fund. Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Dr. Wells. That passes 9-0. Item I-16, I need a motion for, and that's amending the Water and Sewer Extension Reserve Fund.
Move the item. Second.
Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. That passes 9-0. And item I-17 is the Stormwater Management Capital Improvement Fund. Moved by Mrs. Hoffman. Seconded by Mrs. Thurm. And that passes 9-0. I'm going to read items I-18 through I-24 into the record. I-18 is an ordinance amending Chapter 10 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances, amending fire prevention and protection. Item I-19 is an ordinance amending Chapter 16 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances, amending parking citations. Item I-20 is an ordinance amending Chapter 16 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances, amending metered parking rates. Item I-21 is an ordinance amending Chapter 25 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances, amending solid waste fees. Item I-22 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinances with respect to streets and sidewalks fiscal year 26. Item I-23 is an ordinance amending Chapter 29 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances, amending water and sewer fees. Item I-24 is an ordinance amending Chapter 29 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances, amending system development fees. Can I have a motion for I-18? Moved by Dr. Wells, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. That passes 9-0. I need a motion for I-19, which is the parking citations. Moved by Mr. Holston, seconded by Mrs. Hightower. Council, please vote. That passes 9-0. I need a motion for I-20, which is amending metered parking spaces. Moved by Mrs. Thurm. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Wells. Council, please vote. That passes 9-0. I-21 is an ordinance with respects to streets and sidewalks. Do I have a motion?
Move the item. It's 22. It's 22.
Hold on a minute, Mayor. Is there supposed to be a speaker? Madam Mayor, is there a speaker?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Hartzman. When he's done, we're on item 21. Yeah,
Is that?
go ahead.
George Hartzman, I oppose these tax increases that nobody understands because what they're doing is they're passing tax increase. The solid waste monthly fee increase is a 57% tax increase on every property in Greensboro eligible for curbside selection. It's a 57% tax increase in 1 year. Where's the justification for all this? On the parking, the city lost $2.9 million to Roy Carroll to give him Bellmead Street parking deck land after it's demolished. And now you're raising parking fees to make up for his profit. You're stealing from the poor to give to the rich. These are revenue grabs, not policy improvements. Who pays the price? Hourly workers rushing to shifts. Low-income families already struggling with inflation, now facing regressive taxes that punish them disproportionately. Don't balance a budget on the backs of people who can't fight back. These amendments aren't about justice, it's about picking pockets. These tax increases might be spare change to some, but to seniors on Social Security or single parents, it's groceries or it's medicine. Don't think renters are spared. We all know how this works. Your campaign contributor landlords with deep pockets will pass every penny of this increase on to tenants as higher rents. This isn't shared sacrifice, it's regressive taxation increases targeting those with the least amount of ability to fight back. If you push this through, you're not just raising fees, you're raising taxes. You're raising the burden on those who can least afford it, and you know it, and you're going to do it anyway.
I need a motion for I-21, which is the solid waste fees. Moved by Mrs. Hoffman. Seconded by Dr. Wells. Council, please vote.
You know I don't want to. I don't. What? Yeah, but this is raising the fees, right? For solid waste. I just don't like the fact that it looked like outside with somebody and I have a problem.
No, it doesn't.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. Doesn't look like you're agreeing with anything.
Not what now? I just, yeah. Oh, God. I'm going to let it go. Let it go.
That passes 9-0. I need a motion on I-22, streets and sidewalks.
Move the item.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem, Mrs. Hightower. And that passes 9-0. I-23, Sharon, is the one I think you've been waiting for, which
Yes.
is amending water and sewer fees.
Thank
Do I have a motion? Moved by Mrs. Hoffman. Seconded by Mrs. Thurm. Council, please vote. That passes 8-1.
And, yeah, I just wanted, that's the one that I just have concerns about increasing the water bill for some others, so.
And lastly, amending system development fees, I-24.
Move the item.
Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mrs. Hightower. Council, please vote. And that passes 9-0. Item I-25 is a resolution authorizing amendment number 1 to the lease agreement between the City of Greensboro and the Natural Science Center of Greensboro, Inc. in the amount of $415,000.
Move the item.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mrs. Hoffman. Council, please vote. I do see Glenn Derbergos here in the meeting with us. And that passes 9-0. Thank you. And just for those of you who missed it, the Science Center was ranked #1 in the entire country this year. So that is a huge recognition. Thank you. And lastly, resolution authorizing amendment number 4 to the lease agreement between the City of Greensboro and Greensboro Downtown Parks, GDPI, in the amount of $75,000. I will be recusing myself from this item.
I also will be recusing myself.
I will as well.
Okay, so I'm going to turn this over.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You do have 2 speakers on this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First speaker, George Hartzman. Go ahead, Mr. Hartzman.
I'm amazed. Well done, I guess.
Are you speechless?
How many others on this council are entangled? We don't know because there's been no disclosure and no audit. You've got public money flowing into private hands. You've got $20,000 a year of tickets that Zach gives out to his friends. He must have a lot of friends. Did you take tickets to anything? Have you received anything of value from Zach, Sharon? No. Okay. No. Hugh? No. Nancy? Hoffman? You're on the ledger as accepting a lunch from Zach. Is that not true? Zach and I eat together fairly regularly. Mary Kay?
No.
Goldie?
It wouldn't matter anyway.
Trey? Mr. Manager? Have you accepted taxpayer-funded gift from Zach Matheny in any way? Mr. Manager? Tony? That's our money. It's taxpayer money. My money too. Yeah. He got season tickets to Tanger and nobody went. He got season tickets to Grasshoppers. No one went. He buys everybody dinner, and that's okay. With taxpayer money, with our money, and he's a nonprofit government contractor.
So,
Mr. Hicks?
I have a question. Mary Kay.
Ms. Hightower?
So, Mr. City Attorney, so tax money is collected from whom? All residents?
For supporting the general fund, yes, ma'am.
So my tax money, does it go in a separate pot or does it go into one pot?
For the general fund, it would go into the general fund.
So it's not separated out. So from anybody. All right. Well, but the issue is that it's our tax money. And so I just want to make sure, because I don't think that's a fair assessment, because we all pay taxes.
I think there's also an assumption that it's tax dollars that have paid for these things rather than separate privately funds.
You already had your 3 minutes, Mr.
for
Hartman.
DGI. And so I think there's a real question about the facts underlying the comments made to council, which I don't think is supported by the facts.
Okay. I feel that way too. I just
Thank
want
you.
to be clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hicks? Is Mr.
I was trying to start my video. There it is, maybe. Sorry. So, I don't know what to say anymore. With all due respect, really starting to feel that speaking to you all is really becoming kind of pointless. It seems that input carries little weight when decisions are already made. And I can be confrontational, but I promise I'm not saying this to be confrontational, but out of real genuine concern for the integrity of our local government, really in particular to this item. We've heard a lot from the city attorney's office tonight, but I would just say that, how can the public have confidence in the impartiality and integrity of the city's attorney's office? According to the recent filing, Mr. Watts himself, city attorney, received over 50 million shares of Cyberlux Corporation stock at 10 cents per share in 2021 for debt settlement and legal fees. This amount is approximately $50,000 or $500,000 in compensation, a figure that significantly exceeds his city salary. Such a substantial private payment raises serious concerns about his competency, in my opinion. When financial interests exist in this nature, it's hard to trust that legal advice and decisions are truly based and made in the community's best interests. So I would question the advice that we've heard from the city attorney's office tonight in reference to these conflicts. And I want to be clear, this is not a personal attack, but a call for transparency and accountability to maintain public trust. And I'm sorry, I apologize if my words come off as strong, but I promise they come from a sincere concern for our community. And for that reason, I'll be opposing the item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Do I have a motion? Oh, Tony, I'm sorry.
May I please?
Mr. City Attorney.
I'm going to address Mr. Hicks's comments, and I don't think they are worth much comment, but I'm going to respond because he's now called into question my ethics in giving you advice. And I am absolutely confident that my ethics, as well as the ethics of Mr. Watts and the ethics of our entire office, are beyond reproach. We have spent far too much time researching these issues presented by Mr. Hicks and Mr. Hartzman. We are absolutely confident in North Carolina law and that our position would be supported by the courts as well as by the School of Government when we tell you that there's simply no conflict. Mr. Hicks's comments that there is somehow a conflict with the city attorney for whatever outside employment he may or may not have is simply unfounded. I can say, sitting in the deputy city attorney seat now for at least, I think, the last 2 years, I have never seen Mr. Watts' ethics compromised in how he advises his council, that his advice to you is deeply established in the law and in his concern for this city. And he encourages his staff to provide you with the same advice. So I do take personal issue with the comments that he made about the advice that you've received tonight, because it was from me, and I'm absolutely certain that it was in no way compromised by anything outside of our desire to simply give you solid legal advice.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right, do I have a motion? Moved by Dr. Wells. Do I have a second by Mr. Holston? Council, please vote. And that passes 6-0 with 3 recusals. Thank you very much. Madam Mayor?
Thank you very much. That is the end of our agenda. We do have a budget. Boards and commissions, Mrs. Hightower?
Madam Mayor, I made a recommendation of a Miss Vincent for the Housing Authority Board. Greensboro Housing Authority. Valerie Vincent.
Yeah, I remember talking about it. Can we do it at the next meeting?
Yeah, because Destiny sent you her resume.
She did? Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, that's the only one I have.
And is she the tenant?
No.
No, okay, it's for a
no,
different position.
No,
Okay.
that's a
Yeah,
different.
let's do that the next
Yeah,
meeting.
because we still haven't filled, I think.
We have a number of.
We have several that need to roll off, and District 1 has a slot. But no, she was one we talked about a while back.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Holston?
None tonight, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Massini? Mrs. Hoffman? Ms. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I do have one. I would like to put David Wharton on the Board of Adjustment to replace Leah Nikas.
Okay. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you. And then just a plea to the community. We need some people for our Insurance Advisory Board. They don't meet very often, but anyone interested in insurance or who has a background in insurance, if they would like to serve on this board, we really need some people. I know.
Dr. Wells?
Thank you, Dr. Wells.
No, I haven't.
Mrs. Thurm? Ms. Pinder, do you have any boards and commissions?
None tonight.
Thank you. Council comments? Jamila, we'll start with you, if there are any council comments.
I would just like to, I guess, bring back up when we talked about the housing, the community block grants, and just talking about the housing and how we're looking at what continues to keep coming up is attainable housing for all. And what we were able to pass tonight, hopefully, is a start to be able to show how we are looking at closing that housing gap, especially with housing opportunities. And so just want to continue to look and see how we can continue to work with community and work with others so that we can make sure that everybody has an opportunity to have attainable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Thurm?
Two things. Number one, I'd like to thank all the department heads in the budget department and the city manager's office that have worked so hard on this budget. I think the work sessions we've had this year and the preparation and the discussions we've had surrounding the budgets were some of the best that we've had since I've been on council, and I'd like to thank that whole team that's worked so hard on that to make this a really good, solid, informed budgeting process this year. So thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. The other thing I would like to mention is just how much the murders that happened in Minnesota this past week how close to home they hit for each one of us, and how important it is that we tone down the rhetoric and have grace for one another. Doesn't matter whether you're school board, county commissioner, city council, state legislator, serve nationally. It's time to tone down the rhetoric, and it's time to realize that everyone that serves their community is doing it from, one hopes a place of service, but regardless, they're all human beings, and we need to have a little grace for one another. And, certainly the rhetoric in our community has stepped up tremendously in the past month. And quite frankly, it's a scary place to be sitting and to be serving in public service right now. And I'm just request and plead with the community as a whole that we realize that we're all just humans and we're doing the best we can. And, it's not an easy place to be, and service is not an easy endeavor, especially right now. And I just think we need to have a little more patience and stop and think before we say something. And I guess that's it.
Thank you. Dr. Wells?
Of course, I would like for you all to, the mayor mentioned at the beginning, to remember Tiffany Rudd. She was really close to me. She was my campaign manager, and it seems like it's hard to believe that she won't be here. I usually look over there and see her at every council meeting, but she's not here anymore. So I want you to remember her family, and there will be a service for her on the 28th at New Jerusalem Church, New Jerusalem Cathedral on Sharp Road. At viewing is 11:30 and the service is at 12. And on another note, don't want you to forget that the Morningside Awards will be on June the 26th at Barber Park at 6 o'clock. We're going to give awards to those students who I think they've done essays or whatever, but they're going to be awarded, and that's an outcome of what the council did to remember that incident. So thank you. That's all for tonight.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and to Chris again, thank you for your service. We really appreciate you. And everybody who worked on the budget, I don't want to start calling out names. We'll leave somebody out, but thank you. I think, and Mr. City Manager, and I know that Chris had a lot to do with it. Larry Davis, Nasha, I'll go down the line. I'll forget somebody, but, it's one of the easiest ones I think we've had, because we have had, as was mentioned earlier, so many of the small group meetings, and we've understood why things are done the way they are. Started at the retreat, and we've been meeting ever since, so thank you all very much. I wanted to highlight the Family Justice Center breakfast on June 6th. I know many of you were there. And 10 years, it's hard to believe that's when we opened the doors. I'm very lucky. I was in on the ground floor very early in 2011 or 12. So that was something that, was dear to my heart, and I'm very thankful. The FJC has statistics that will blow your mind on how many people they have helped. So I wanted to highlight that. There was the Peace on Purpose at Barber Park that was inside, but it worked out very well. A lot of people there and a lot of people getting information, which really made me happy. On June 7th, and I saw that Mrs. Hoffman may be talking about it as well, I attended the premiere of our Blues Make Us Gold, the A&T documentary, A&T State University documentary. I'm sure that she's got the thing, she could talk more about it maybe, but it was not only fascinating, it was so good. You've really got to watch it. I think it's coming out on, it's going to be on one of the streaming. For some reason, well, I don't want to say because I'm not positive, but it's going to be on one of the streaming channels at some point very, very soon. So it's a documentary you will really want to see, from the A&T parades to everything else. It just shows so much about the university. And then, of course, Henry Fourier's retirement. That was really nice. And Mayor Vaughn, when you gave him the key to the city, he was in shock. But it was so cool. But anyway, that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes, this was a 2-hour documentary, an A&T, and it was just it was really an excellent film, and I think we will all want to see it whenever it's available shortly. I think, according to Dr. Spencer, on one of the streaming services. And again, I'd like to thank our city staff. As you said, Mayor Pro Tem, I think this is what, my 14th budget session, and I think in many ways it just flowed very well. Budgeting is never easy. It's never enough money for the things that we want to do and the things that we need to do. So, I think this budget season really went extremely well, and I appreciate all of the efforts from our staff. I've been thinking about this, and I'm thinking about what Councilwoman Thurham said too. I think it was about 10 or 11 years ago, a friend of mine who had held public office at one time passed on a short sort of quotation to me, and it's so meaningful that I've kept it ever since. Of course, my life and my calendar are in my phone, but I'm still old-fashioned enough that I keep a paper calendar on my desk by my laptop in my office, and so I've kept this quote, so that I look at it and read it at the beginning of every month. So I just wanted to share that because I think it talks to some of the things that you said and that we've been thinking about. It was written by Jennifer Senior in NewYorkMagazine.com, so it was online. But this is what she said. There's a school of thought that says elected officials are metabolically and psychologically different from civilians. They have larger appetites, more bountiful energy, greater desire for admiration. And it may often be true, but they remain as vulnerable to fortune's left hooks as anyone. And they are just as devastated by loss, just as wretched in mourning. They lose parents, they lose spouses, they lose kids, and they have to navigate their grief in a very public space. Rattle off a list of names and you realize that a goodly number of public officials, and I include elected officials as well as public officials who serve in staff positions, so that often when they're being lampooned, and we're lampooning or complaining about them, they are in fact concealing vast amounts of pain. Now, I hope that none of us are at the moment in that situation, but, those of us here, we've lost our spouses during the times that we've served or been in public service. We've lost close friends. We've lost
Parents.
Other family members who are very close to us. We've suffered very serious, devastating illnesses. And yet we get up and we do our job every day, whether you're staff or whether we as elected officials, we do our work every week. We come to this dais and do our work here in a very public way. So I hope that people will think about that. We are really, we're no different from any of you sitting out here or any of you in the audience, and all of you who elected us. We seem to have a small group of people who use all of this sort of ephemera that they so-called research, and from it they try to sort of get to these convoluted conclusions, and they try to connect all of these dots, and there's really nothing there to connect. So I think, again, thinking about this past weekend, and apparently, this legislator in Minneapolis obviously was an amazing person. And, to lose someone like that is just incredibly sad. It's sad that we have to have security. I remember, I think when we first came on council, we didn't have security. And so the world has changed. So I just wanted to make that comment, and I hope people will sort of think about that. Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today when I drove into the parking deck, or where we park, because when I first started back in the late 90s, anybody could come below the parking deck, and how that has been hardened over the years, and how, now you have swipe cards to get into the buildings, and it really is interesting how much it has changed, unfortunately not for the good, over the last couple of decades. And, and as elected officials, we're expected to have very thick skin. People can say all sorts of things about us, but heaven forbid we defend ourselves. It's like, oh my God, they defended themselves. I'm allowed to say whatever I want about them. And that's not the truth. So thank you for that. I appreciate the quote. And I will say, all of us do this because we love it. I've said for many years, I think I have the best job in the city of Greensboro. Even when it's a really bad day, I think it's the best job. I have been honored to serve the people of Greensboro, and I love meeting people, whether it's in the grocery store or in a carpool line. I do carpool for my grandchildren, and the conversations that we have are so much different than the keyboard warriors. So, thank you. Mr. Matheny?
Zach has taken a huge hit over the last few weeks, and I remember back in 2012, 2013, I sort of felt a little bombarded at that point, too. We had someone who liked to come in. I had purchased a building downtown, which our independent bookstore now has operated in during all of that time, and two other, boarded up buildings that are now serving wonderful purposes in our city. And yet it seemed that one of our citizens thought that I should be able to renovate a building that had been vacant for 20 years, figure out what to do with it, and find tenants for it. So you've taken a bigger hit, I think, than I did back in those days, Zach. But it's it's just tough, and it's really not necessary. I don't think it adds to our public knowledge or conversation at all, really.
It doesn't help recruit businesses either.
No.
Businesses that are seriously looking at Greensboro will watch these meetings and see things. And as you mentioned very thoughtfully, I know of 4 people in this room that have lost their spouse since I've been serving, counting you and myself. And we still do it. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think of y'all as well. We do this. I do this. As I said jokingly somewhat earlier, but very seriously, I am proud of the efforts I've put in for the city. I haven't been perfect, but I've given it everything I've got, working with Chris, working with Glenn. When Karen Kelly was chair of the science board, getting the aquarium done in a difficult time. A year and a half ago, I was beating my head against the wall. It was very difficult times. And I've told many of you, I took my daughter to dinner, and I said, honey, what can I do to be a better father? give me the playbook. She looked at me and she said, spend more time with us. And I said, fantastic. What if Daddy wasn't a city councilman? She sat back, she looked at me, and she said, I like spending every other Tuesday with Gigi. And said, Mom, if you're watching tonight, it wasn't as bad as 2 weeks ago. Thank you for taking care of my children so that I can help take care of this community. So I am proud of it. Now, Jet frickin' Zero, people.
Oh my God.
Come on. Let's go. It's our time. We've been talking about it. We've been doing it. We're making efforts on our housing. We're making efforts on our parks and the things, our assets like the Science Center, our downtown parks, downtown in general. We're going to move the needle, Sharon, in East Greensboro. We're going to move the needle in other areas. Toyota. But Jet Zero, the largest announcement in the history of the state of North Carolina. Let's go. Forget the 2% that want to be negative. Let's stay positive and let's keep rolling, because that's what we're about. Greensboro's strong, and that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm going to continue to give everybody the best I can, including the city staff, for what you did. Trey, high five. You got your first budget done. I mean, that's got to be a good feeling. And to my fellow council folks, and I've said this before, I respect each and every one of you tremendously. I know what we do. I know how hard we work. I know that sometimes, the mayor may get better conversations in the grocery store. I quit going. But we do make a difference together. And the fact that I have felt so much respect from y'all, and quite frankly, I remember my first meeting back. Are you kidding me? It's 2 hours. Then when one of the unsheltered population came a friend of mine. We've really done a lot of things together, and let's finish this term strong and support each other and support this community, because that's what it's all about. And we're Greens booming.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, Mr. Wilson, thank you again. You'll be gone, but we'll stay in contact. And this is just a me and the Chris thing, but, there's going to be weather, and we're going to have to talk about that. I also want to thank John Decker and Marlene for their work on the budget, in addition to city staff. Thank you so very much for pulling this together and having all the sessions that we did have on the budget and the small group sessions. Those are also very good. Mr. City Manager, I want to talk about the road to 25,000. And I mean that seriously, is that Jet Zero is a fantastic addition to Greensboro, to Guilford County, as is Boom, as is Toyota. But we have a real responsibility on this council to make sure that we're ready for it, that our staff is ready for it, whether it's permitting, whatever it is. We have to make sure that we are primed and ready to go every single day. We need to put a foot someplace warm if we have to, then let's do it, because the beneficiaries are going to be the citizens and the residents of our great city. And it was said earlier, this is just the beginning. There's even more to come. And because of that, we need more. To the point of everybody being prepared, there are some parts of our community that haven't enjoyed the investment and the infrastructure that we need as a city. We're not strong in just one district or one sector. We need to be strong in every single sector. So it's going to be important that we put additional resources into those communities, east, southeast, that have been so neglected in the past. But it's for the purposes of opportunity. I look at what we have down at Toyota, and I see how that comes right into the east, southeast portion of our city. The Carolina Core going towards that direction. You have Energizer Battery. You have Amazon. There's so much infrastructure that we need to get ready for growth and prosperity. Let's make sure that we do that. I was happy to be with you last night over at Barber Park. It was the Guilford County Homeownership Pipeline Project. That is another way of doing it, preparing those developers to assist developers we already have here, because it's a yeoman's job for us to come up with some 25,000 jobs, 35,000 jobs, 45,000 jobs. We've been very good at incentivizing these organizations, these companies to come here. Now we need to make sure that we monetize it as good stewards of the residents and the property taxes. That is, if they come here, but they end up living in Burlington or Kernersville or Lexington, then we haven't done our job. We've got to be ready. Our residents also have to be ready when it comes to density. Got to make sure that we got to squeeze in a little bit more. We've got to make sure that we ensure that there's a mixed use going on, not a concentration of one or the other, but a mixed use in all of our districts, so they all look like Greensboro. I'm looking forward to that. Next, we have a little bit going on in our community. Sometimes some things are just a damn shame. And one of those is going on in East Greensboro right now, over at Cottage Gardens. And I know that Sharon has been heavily engaged in this. That's a property that has 176 units, but we know right now there are at least 35 or 36 that our code compliance is working with. Those residents are living in squalor, and we've got to make sure that we turn that around, and quickly. And the last but not least, I'm going to say to the family of Tiffany Rudd, condolences. We love Tiffany. As Dr. Wells said, she'd be sitting right here in the corner with a big smile on her face for most of our council meetings. I'm going to miss her. We're going to miss her. And I send condolences to the family. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sharon?
So, Hugh, I want to send my condolences to Tiffany Rudd's children and her family. We were just together at the Wiz at A&T, where we had a good time over there. And she's just a bright smile that will be truly missed. I know, Dr. Wells, I'm so sorry for the loss, because I know it cuts you deep. But what it says to us, too, is that we need to live each day as if it is our last, because we don't know what's around the corner. Death is certain, and life is uncertain. And so we lost someone that's young and vibrant. We used to think death was for the old people. But recently, I've lost constituents in the community that were 93, 96. I got an invitation on my desk for a lady who's turning 100 on June 13th. So life is just not promised to you. And so I just want us to realize that and how we sometimes treat people. Because even though we may disagree about stuff, and I'm going to continue to still always disagree if I don't believe it's the right thing to do, but I think that it's how we do it. And so to Tiffany's family, I want to give my condolences. I also want to celebrate those 14,500 jobs that's coming jet zero. But I see it as, I pray, an opportunity to impact a community that has seen years of disinvestment. And that plan we adopted tonight talked about redlining and systemic issues that have gone on for years in communities that have been underserved, overlooked, and neglected. And so these jobs can make a difference in a lot of lives. But if we're not intentional about making sure they do, then all we're doing is celebrating jobs. Okay? They're not making an impact where they matter the most. So we need to make sure now that we are creating a strategy to get those individuals that we know that are underemployed and underpaid in positions to improve their socioeconomic status of life. A $90,000 a year job will change your world. And if we're not intentional about it, then shame on us. Okay, just like with Toyota, just like with Publix. And I will applaud Publix because they hired 1,000 people over there. And when you go over there, you see the impact. And when you talk to the individuals that work there, you hear about the impact. That they're going to continue to work there. One of my daughter's classmates' twin brother works there. And he says he loves it. He loves it. So, I know the difference that it can make. And Jet Zero can make that same difference. So in 5 years, I'm looking forward to the opening of the door and people going to work. So I wanted to say congratulations to them as well. Also to Mr. City Manager, congratulations on your first budget being approved. It's not an easy job, is it? But it's well worth it if, as you work through and making sure that we have impact in our community. One of them is going to be that investment, intentional investment, that I am, pushing through you. Whether it's the 10,000 homes, it's the sidewalks, we've got to make sure it's the corridors that we need to improve, and implementing the Random Road Plan and the South Area Plan, getting them implemented, pushed. I think those are the things we have to make sure we highly focus on. Next year's budget hopefully will be different. We'll have a little bit more money to spend, and I'm going to help you spend it, just so you know. But thank you for doing it, the work sessions, working with the staff, being open to some suggestions, and I think those suggestions are going to make a difference. One of them is that down payment assistance program. It is going to make a difference. And it'll probably even be more once those 14,000 jobs come. We're going to have a 20,000 or maybe 30,000 down payment assistance. Can you imagine what our community will look like if you ride through it and you don't see the house that I sent you the picture of the other day, where it's dilapidated and the vines are growing over it and the carport has fallen in and the carport wall is standing in the midst of a community where everybody else's yards are manicured and kept well, that we get rid of those blighted houses in these communities. Think about that. And so I'm hoping that budget's going to do that. The jobs are going to do that as well. I do want to say happy Juneteenth to everyone coming up. That when we celebrate Juneteenth, and I've said it before, it is our 4th of July. But I don't think people really understand why that is so important, because it's not just a celebration, a commemoration. It's a memory of struggles that went on for years toward individuals who weren't even considered people but property. And today we can make a difference in those people's lives. And so as we commemorate Juneteenth, let us not forget why it's there. So yes, I say happy Juneteenth because it is happy. It is a step forward, even though today's world is a little troubling, and there are those who would like to see us go back. But as they say in the NAACP, one step forward, not one step back, and we will not go back. And finally, to my good friend, Chris Wilson, you will be missed more than you know, because when I call you, I don't care if it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you might not answer, but you call me back. And so I'm very appreciative of that, and how we've worked together over the years. Sometime I call screaming and you don't even break a sweat. You be like, okay now. I'll be like, why is he not getting upset like me? But you hear me out, and I appreciate that. There's a couple more things on my list. I need the red light cameras, because I'm tired of folk running through stoplights. I don't even move when the light turns green anymore. I just wait. But we need those red light cameras, and we need that commercial ordinance put into place. So just 2 more things. You got a few days. I know you can get it done. I have all the confidence. And finally, well, all of those things are finally points that need to be made. So understand what I'm saying when I say finally. Those are points that need to be made. But what I want to say, Martin Luther King had a saying, the time is always right to do what is right. And I believe in doing what is right. And so even though I have gotten beat up here myself, Mr. Matheny, the people have beat me up as well and said things that sometimes I don't agree with, because I know my community is growing and improving, and East Greensboro is blossoming, and potential is over there like none other, and houses are coming, and businesses are coming, and A&T is doing stuff, and Windsor Chavis, Mr. Wilson, you got to come back and help us cut that ribbon. Windsor Chavis NOCO Community Complex in East Greensboro, $77 million investment. And Mr. City Manager, we have to keep those investments going. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager?
I'm going to give a quick moment to Tony. I do have a few things to say.
I know that city manager have a few things to say, and before he does, I just wanted to say when Chuck asked me to sit at the big table tonight, I did not realize that it was Chris's last meeting. So from deputy to deputy, we have what we call the deputy's nook, which if you go outside the back door of the city manager's office, turn to the right, there are a couple of chairs. I came out one day, and Chris was just sitting there, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, no one else seems to use these chairs, so I was just contemplating." And we decided that that was going to be the deputy's nook. So there have been more than one opportunity where, I'll get a text, meet me at the nook, or I'll say the same. And we've met out there and had a couple of meetings. And I want to say to Chris that we have not worked together very long. You have helped me get out of the digital mindset of most lawyers of yes or no and dig for creative solutions. And there's been some times where our creativity has gotten a little too far, but you have encouraged me to, and I think the city attorney's office in general, to dig in the charter, dig in statutes, dig in ordinances, and where there is a creative solution that can be supported by the law and by council, to present that to the council and to the manager's office. And so I appreciate you pushing us to look for that creativity. You will be missed, and we'll hope to see you again soon.
Mayor and council, first I want to say thank you. But I do want to take privilege for all of the city staff of the organization, specifically our police department, and acknowledge and give condolences to the family of Tiffany Rudd. I had a personal connection with her. I will tell you, she took my youngest son on like he was her own, and he's probably watching and listening right now. She did a lot for so many of us, and she had a true heart for the youth and to see folks in this community just succeed. And so she will be missed, and you know, she is much loved. She was most recently working with our folks in the community engagement office out in the community. So we want to say, you know, to her family that she will be missed and she's loved. Council, you know, the budget is hard, to Councilwoman Hightower's point, but it has probably been, and tonight is probably the best moment in my career as a public servant. This is truly the intersection of staff like our budget and our finance department, who are truly amazing, but also our senior leadership who, as you heard me talk about earlier, stepped up to the plate in a really tough year. And even more so, a council who gave significant feedback and interaction. And so for me, you know, we hear a lot of things all the time, but watching this budget process has been so amazing to me, to see how a council like you all, who get down in the true dirt, sometimes y'all get in the weeds, and sometimes y'all get in the mud, but that's what it really means, and that's what public service means. And I really want the community to know that what they're seeing in this budget, this is not one that will make headlines because we ain't got a bunch of money. But this is one that we work together to show a community that we will continue to thrive, that we will create opportunities, we'll create equity in spaces that have not seen equity, and we'll continue to grow. But we'll also set this community up for success in things like you saw with Jet Zero, and we'll continue to go forward. We got a little thing that we call the Road to 10,000. I heard a challenge earlier to increase that. We have a road show coming up, the first of our series to go into the community. That will be June 26th at our depot. And if anybody wanted to know, if anybody's counting the numbers, since March the 1st, we have 1,043 units. So we're pressing ahead to that mark. We look to well exceed it. But again, I want to say thank you to all of the staff, all of the city manager's office team who really made this budget happen. And I want to take a quick moment, and I'm going to call him out to, you know, a person who is a brother. He's truly a family member to all of us because we all get mad at him from time to time. But we love him. And whether you get mad at him, you end up sitting in his seat and in his office, in his chair. And he means so much to all of us. And it was really interesting to listen to you all, because you all have the same reflection that we have, that this is somebody who has helped guide and help teach so many people. And he truly does exemplify what it means to be, and I'm not even going to reduce it to an employee, but a person who has a heart and a servant for this city and this community. So if you would, if the staff here, please give them a hand. And I'm going to let him have the last word.
I'm hungry and I'm tired. and I've been sneaking a cookie for the past 30 minutes. I know y'all saw me. Hey, thank you. Thank you, seriously. Yeah, I can't talk about us yet because that would get me messed up. But congratulations on another great budget and putting your priorities exactly where you say you're going to put them. And thank you for everything, really. I've got so many crazy memories with all of you. And honestly, we've done so many things together. Sometimes I forget. I was going down memory lane here recently looking at pictures, and saw one, Sharon and I having hot dogs at a community meeting after getting fussed out. I can go down the line. I've got one of all of you. Especially ours. You guys, you don't get the credit you deserve, and for everything that you said that I did or I worked on, I never was alone. I did it with you. I did it with this team. I am so incredibly proud of this team. I would not be leaving if I didn't feel good about where we are. So thank you for the partnership, the friendship. Thank you for your dedication and service. I know how hard it is, and I see what you go through, and it hurts me sometimes to watch, and I've told you guys that. But the fact that you keep doing it means everything to our community, and you need to hear that too. And you don't hear from most of our community because they're forging ahead and they're taking advantage of the good work that you've done. And when things are going well, you don't always hear. But I'm here to tell you, I'm out in the community all the time, and they appreciate you and they appreciate what you do. So thank you for the opportunity. I truly am blessed. I am so blessed, and I cannot thank you enough for what you've done. But to the staff, really quickly, I just want to tell you, you guys are the absolute best. And if you don't realize it, you have left a legacy in this community. You can drive down every street, and we've got a story. Every portion of this community and beyond, by the way. We stretched on out into the county and all sorts of places. I really appreciate you, and I believe in you, and I know you're going to do great things. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to hang out.
Well, that is our meeting. Remember, July 8th is our next meeting, July 8th. So we're going to meet 2 weeks in a row. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.